everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, the midpoint of January 16th, 2019. I'm the Nighthawk, along with our studio director, Mr. Zach. And on the panel tonight, to my immediate right, Super Dave Handy. And at the end of the table, Duke Forrest. So,
Hawk, you mentioned midpoint. For the record, it doesn't feel like it. It's wicked. For people watching us live, it's nasty out. You guys have been out
Terrible.
more recently than me, but we are at the midpoint of meteorological winter. That's such a hard word. Doesn't probably seem like it, but meteorological winter, the coldest 3 months of winter, probably obviously December, January, and February. So
That's
I'm
a
not gonna say
surprise.
We're halfway through meteorological winter. If that makes anybody feel better, which it probably doesn't.
Well, we're due for a big snow.
Sounds like well, I've got a tennis match at Middlebury. I'm hoping Captain
what day are you?
Becky may
Sunday.
be watching.
Sunday.
Sunday sounds like, but it's funny. I mean, I heard VPR has real serious weather people. Supposedly 2 storms, one of which is still like off the California coast. I don't know where
Right.
the other, but it seems like just about everybody's buying into a potentially big storm, snowstorm.
Hey, Dave, do you like that shot right there?
That
Zach,
shot?
is that a new
Although
shot?
I'm
Wow.
concerned, Dave, because I just heard
that was a
from the
good shot.
Kansas City forecast.
Kansas
it had
City's-
been, it had been single digits, a lot of wind.
Well, I can
The
tell
new
you right now.
forecast is like mid-20s, not much wind.
Okay, I just
just
read
heard
it
that forecast.
prepping for the show,
Yeah.
and they said single digits. With
That's what I
wind
heard.
chill-
That's gone. That
With
forecast.
a wind chill factor.
That forecast is
Okay.
gone. That forecast is gone already.
And
I
of
think.
course, they asked Bill Belichick, how do you feel about playing this weather? I'm just happy to be playing in any championship.
Really?
Yeah, he's.
But for the record, it sounds like not nearly as cold as originally forecast.
So we might as well get into football right now. Now, it's not a coincidence I'm wearing the shirt. It's the team colors of the LA Rams. And all I can say is, yes, they were playing your granddaddy's style of football. Anderson and their stud Gurley each ran for excess of 100 yards. Their rushing game, Duke, 270
yeah,
yards.
I saw a fair amount of the game.
Me thinks that's a pretty good formula for January football.
Now, are they
talk to the
playing in New
Patriots.
Orleans, though, aren't they?
They are playing indoors. Yeah.
Oh, there you got 2 indoor teams, so that doesn't really.
That's a good. I didn't
Yeah.
even think of that. That game is at New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
Superdome.
And they're favored by 3.5. The Chefs are favored by 3 points.
Yeah, I guess the line's gone down. Did I hear from 4 to 3? Of course, we'll talk. We'll
Now,
talk
for the
to
record,
everybody.
somebody asked me before the playoffs, who do you think is going to be in the Super Bowl? And I said, no, these teams are so tight, I wish not to. And they said, well, just if you had to. And I said, well, if I had to, I would pick the Rams and the Patriots. I like the spread. If I'm wagering, I like the money. I'll take the 3 points and go with the Patriots. Sonny Michel,
Sony Michel.
right. They have a running back. Perchance the weather is inclement.
They're
they
they're
do
good
have-
either way, but I don't really know. You know what's kind of cool is these are really the best 4 teams. They've been the best 4 teams all year.
David, in a perfect world, number 1 and number 2 seed from each conference made
Yeah.
it. So that is absolutely.
Yeah, hard to complain about that.
No, so
Of course, for a Pats guy, the one thing that I can't, me, glass half full guy, just the Miami game kills me. As the Pats are in Kansas City, this game should have been in
Yep.
Foxborough. If it was in Foxborough, they'd probably move on to the Super Bowl. Kansas
Yep.
City, take a pick.
hey, I'd like to see I'd like to
That
see
said,
the
they played a great game.
Kansas
against the
City win
Chargers.
just for Andy Reid. The guy's been a
I
good
like
coach.
Andy. Andy's a decent guy.
He's never won the Super Bowl. He's got a terrific record.
His personal life was. Didn't he lose his son
He did lose
on a
his
drug
son.
overdose?
Yeah.
He's really if
yeah.
you really want to root for a team
Yeah.
and root for somebody who really deserves it, he does.
You don't
and if
mind.
Belichick doesn't get another Super Bowl, who cares?
You don't mind if I don't jump on that bandwagon.
No.
Right?
But I mean, in terms of that, but in terms of football,
No, Reed's a decent guy.
I think Brady, I thought, had quite a edge to his interview after the game.
In fact, you want one of the quotes I can pull out right here from
Which is all
Shaughnessy's
they
column.
need. They don't need too much to get fired up.
I know this is part of the quote I think you're talking about. I know everyone. I love this. everybody hates us. Everybody
Yeah.
thinks. I know everyone thinks we suck, and can't win any games. So we'll see. Said Brady.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah, he
But I
knows.
I love that they're underdogs.
He knows.
And with all the grief they took, I mean, how many, we'd lost probably 10% of the Brazilian rainforest with all the Brady, Belichick, discord story. How many gazillion
Okay,
stories
dude,
like that were there?
Dude, did I?
I think Brady might have a little life left. For I
Yeah.
hate to tell all the people who had told him to retire and stuff. It looks like he might have a little life left.
I have no dog in this fight, but I told you, I saw back in after the Super Bowl, all through the spring and summer, it was like the Patriots were over and blah. And I go, what have they done to let anybody know they were done? They just lost the Super Bowl by a couple points.
With Brady playing out of his
Right.
mind.
What, he only, 505?
Yeah.
You got it.
And it was just a
505.
fluke. It was just a fluke. They could have just as easily won.
Yeah. Now-
they could have
They
easily
should
won
have, had
all
they-
of their
Oh,
Super Bowls.
If
absolutely.
they had any defense.
Absolutely.
yeah.
You're
Although
absolutely
they've
right.
stolen a few, right? They certainly could have won both the Giants games.
Yeah.
But
Those
they've
they
stolen-
should have won.
They-
They've stolen a few
The
themselves.
Seattle game, they stole.
Yeah.
I mean, the Julian Edelman catch and the comeback against
Atlanta, that was so I guess
got me
I
away
guess
from
those
my
things
David
even out.
Tyree nightmares. I'm
Yeah.
even on
Can I
that
say it,
front.
David? Life has a tendency to even itself
Yeah.
out.
But can't you make? I mean, I made the case last week. I thought the Chargers were a better team. I didn't necessarily think they'd win in Foxborough. Can't you make the case that Kansas City sure looks like a better team or not?
I'll tell you what. What I like about Tom Brady is he goes for the jugular in the first half. They always win their game in the first half. Now, it's human nature. You can't sustain that type of greatness for 60 minutes. And the Patriots didn't play as well in the second half. But
Who
they didn't
cares
have
about
to.
the second half?
Right. They didn't have to. But Tom Brady, and I've said it a zillion times, I don't remember many epic 2-minute drives for him at the end of the game because he always wins it by halftime.
Well, the other thing too is that I think
The defense, they showed
Patriots
me a little
understand-
defense for a change.
the Patriots understand that it's a marathon. You don't win and their division is so weak. They can win 10-6, 11-5, 12-4. They don't have to use up all their bullets during the regular season.
and can almost count on a bye in the first week and a home game in the second week.
They take a couple weeks off. Plus, Brady is 40.
Yep.
So, but when the playoffs come, it reminds me of the Montreal Canadiens in their heyday with John Beliveau and Scotty Bowman. They didn't always win the regular season, but man, when the playoffs come,
Yeah.
it's a whole different
Yeah.
animal.
Yeah. But to me, the intrigue of this weekend is two of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. You can have a Drew Brees, Tom Brady Super Bowl, which
Could be.
for the normal fan or the abnormal fan that only watches the Super, they might be 1 and 2 in passing yards of all time, or you may have a couple babies playing. Jared Goff.
Yeah.
And Mahomes.
Good-looking guy, well-spoken. What a gentleman this Jared Goff is too. He's just
good
such
guy.
a good kid.
Or a mixture of the two.
Or Patrick Mahomes, which is the new kid on the block now.
But that Mahomes is good too.
He's good.
and he's got a knack about him. You can just tell he's got
Yeah.
it.
And for the record, they lost in Foxborough. For the record, KC put up 40 points in Foxborough in the regular season game.
But I'm
The
still
only
going.
43 to 40
I
game
want the
ever.
Rams. I want the Patriots, and I like the Rams because I'm old, and that's the type of football I grew up with. Is 3 yards in a cloud of dust.
That game's they're both pick'ems.
Or,
Toss them up.
like,
Well, right. They're all
four good
3.5,
teams.
3 points. Those are even games. Where's the Super Bowl this year?
Atlanta.
Okay.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Now, big news today was that New York Post had a big article on whether or not what a perfect fit Bryce Harper is for the Yankees.
Oh, he is a perfect fit.
Why didn't they write this story months
Well,
ago?
they keep going. There's an undercurrent that they keep thinking that, God, how does a guy who's such a perfect fit for New York, how come they aren't? And
Do we know they're not? Are they?
We don't. We don't.
Yankees are well known for doing stuff
But
very quietly.
it's funny, David, you
That-
bring that up because I am so puzzled, and I think I ask you this question every week. they signed DJ LeMahieu to a nice contract.
Yep.
I'll be honest, I didn't even know this guy.
I guess he's a really good ball player.
He's a very good. He's
I didn't even know
Gold
his
Glove
name,
winner,
Mark.
but he plays
Colorado.
in Denver, where you could hit probably at
But
your
that's
age
still
30 home runs.
embarrassing. He was a National League batting champ a few years ago.
2 years ago.
He
How
beat
could I
out.
not know
he
this
beat
guy's
out.
name?
He beat out Daniel Murphy by like a point.
Oh, really?
And he sat out the last game or two, so he could win the batting crown. But here's where I'm so perplexed. Okay, we've been talking Machado for the last 18 years, it seems. Now,
He's a right-handed hitter, too.
Gleyber Torres, okay, played second base for the Yankees. Was it his rookie year last year?
Yes.
Okay, just a rookie. He had 431 at-bats last year. Normally, you're closer to 600, so keep this in mind. 431 at-bats. A rookie, second baseman, if you get like 8 home runs, that's pretty good. He had 24 home runs and 77 RBIs.
Wow.
Rookie, and I'm going to myself, wow, he hasn't even put muscle. He's still living on baby fat. And this kid is good. I'm not sure how his defense is. I'm not an
He's
American.
pretty good. He's
Right.
pretty good.
Okay, so I'm thinking to myself, I just picked up Tulowitzki, who's going to be the starting shortstop. Okay, how do you displace Gleyber Torres? And I don't think they're paying LeMahieu $24 million to be a backup, or am I incorrect?
LeMahieu is going to be their Ben Zobrist.
Is that right? Move him around.
Okay,
They're gonna move around.
Can he play outfield?
I don't know if he can play outfield,
Seems
but,
like I saw first, second, and third.
but he can play
particular.
first, second, or
Okay,
third.
so I'm thinking.
So not shortstop.
Well, and you got to remember, we may, with Didi having Tommy John and being a shortstop,
You need that arm.
Didi might not be back till a year from now.
Is Didi not expected back at all next season?
Not till August.
David, when was his operation?
He heard it against the Red Sox.
Huh.
So the operation was in October.
This October?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Because Tommy John is
You're
a-
wondering why it wasn't
Why-
right after he got hurt, or
It was in the playoffs.
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, it was
okay.
playoffs.
So right
okay.
after.
Tommy John is a 12 to 14 month
Yeah.
For a pitcher.
for pitchers. By I'm assuming, like a shortstop has to have as good as arm.
Well, Gleyber Torres had Tommy John, but on his non-throwing elbow.
Yeah. All right.
So it's-
So this Bryce Harper stuff, and there's been no news for a long time with the Yankees. So I'm thinking, well, I know Greg Bird laid an egg last year, pun intended. And Luke,
He did.
And Luke Voigt played. Okay. So and again, I'm not an American League guy. I'm a National League expert. Don't know a whole heck of a lot about the American League. So I checked Luke Voigt stats. He had 143 at bats last year. Now dig this: 15 home runs. Do the
15
ratio.
homers?
That's a 1 to 10 every
Better
10
than 1 to
at-bats.
10.
So,
Gee,
and
really?
he had 36 RBIs. Okay, so you take that 143, multiply that by 4. Okay, so that's 60 home runs with 144 RBIs.
Of course,
Well, I know that, but I like doing math.
No, those are amazing
But, so I'm
stats.
thinking Voigt's got a future, and do you know where Voigt is from? I had no idea. He played with St. Louis in 20.
Played for St. Louis, but didn't play much.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So, getting back to your original point, this Bryce makes no sense to me at all.
Well, where it makes
I
sense.
know you need a left-hand bat.
We need left-hand bat.
Yeah,
bad.
badly. Yep.
Bad. We're way too right-handed. The only guys we got that hit left-handed right now are Hicks, who's a switch hitter, and that's it.
Well, David, let me ask you this. Say they went after and signed Harper. Could they find somebody that would want Stanton?
I think they like Stanton. I think they feel that he will be a lot better his second year in. Moving to New York is a tough.
Right.
Who would ever pick
Well,
him
the
up anyway?
Yankees would have to pay.
Yeah, you're going to pay him, but
He's not going.
All right.
nobody's going to.
But David, okay, I agree. Stanton stays with
Maybe
the
the
Yanks.
Dodgers.
Okay, so Bryce Harper signs with the Yanks. What's his position?
Well,
I mean, can he do much better than what Luke Voigt did?
you've got Gardner.
Don't forget my buddy Jacoby.
You got Gardner, who wears out. Okay, he can't play full season anymore. You got Jacoby Ellsbury, who may not play again. You never know.
Do you have any suspicion that come spring training, which is a month away, that they just may let Ellsbury go and eat
Or
the
trade him
contract?
and eat most of the
How much money is left with him?
40.
He's got 2 years left?
Yeah. That was a dumb deal. That was a bad
That's
deal.
probably the worst signing, and I'm serious.
We
in
had
the
some
history of
very
baseball.
pointed discussions on this show about whether the Red Sox should keep Jacoby at Big Buckos. That was a good move that they did.
He's been
Yeah. And
he's been okay. He's been worth about a quarter of what they paid him.
And the other bad one too was this Jason Hayward for the Cubs.
Oh, that's a worse deal.
175. He gets 25 million a year. And again, the Nationals offered him more, so he wanted to play for the Cubs.
Really?
So he signed a 7-year, $175 million contract, and the guy hits about 250.
That's why these guys aren't getting a big
Exactly.
contract.
Exactly.
Machado, I heard the best offer he
What did I hear?
has.
7 years, 175.
Yeah.
White Sox.
That
is
was
what I heard
today,
today?
but I also
Yeah.
heard earlier in the week, which made sense to me, was an 8-year, 250 contract, which evens out to 31 a year. I can live with an 8-year contract because Machado's 26, Harper's 26. They can play well until the
I think in the current environment, Harper, I heard the Dodgers today they talked to Harper and said they wouldn't mind doing a big AAV, but only for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
They aren't going to do a 300, 400 million.
But here's my issue.
Harper having any second thoughts about turning down the
Oh
Nats
no,
offer
they're still
months
in
ago?
conversation with
I
the
think the
Nats.
Phillies. I think the Phillies will pay Harper the $325 million.
They will, because
I have no doubt about
David,
that.
we will spend stupid money.
Yes.
The Phillies. They want to get back in.
But did the Nats offer about as much as you think the
Well,
Phillies will?
the talk is they've offered a second offer, like back in December. Again, he flew into old man Ted Lerner, 85-and-a-half-year-old, home in California to meet with him.
As in
Again,
recently.
in December.
Okay.
Now, again, you're 85-and-a-half years old.
Yeah.
You're a billionaire.
Yeah.
Okay, you won't be coming down to breakfast much longer.
Maybe not.
Okay. If I have $1 billion and I'm 85 years old, I think I might want to get a Washington Nationals World Championship T-shirt and maybe wear it in my casket. But the thing about the Nationals, it was so intriguing to me is more than any team this winter.
They've done a really good job.
They've been the best team.
Yeah.
They just signed Brian Dozier to a 1-year, $9 million contract because they have a kid, Carter Kaboom, who's their #1 prospect that'll be ready next year. This Dozier, 3 years in a row, received MVP votes, won the Gold Glove. He'll turn 32 in May.
Had a really bad year.
He had a
last
bad year, and apparently his knee was pretty shot all season. And this Dozier hit a ton of home runs when he played for the, Twinkies?
Yeah, I had 40 something.
Yeah.
yeah.
So this guy, and the Nats, so Duke, where the Nats stand today, and keep in mind, the luxury went from 198 last season, it's 206 this year. The Nats today stand at 196.
Really? So
Okay,
they're under it,
we
huh?
still need, as we talked last week, the bargain bin will open up in 2 weeks, okay? Where you're going to get all these 1-year players. Please sign me. I'll play for minimum wage. They need a left-hand pitcher. Plus, there's some players with some incentives on their contract. They want to stay under the cap, and so they've done a great job. They've picked up Jan Gomes from Cleveland catcher, Kurt Suzuki from Atlanta.
And you got Corbin.
catcher, Patrick Corbin and Anibal Sanchez pitchers, Kyle Bearclaw and Trevor Rosenthal relief pitchers.
Yeah,
Excellent year. So I don't know if it's hard or stupid to say maybe your team would be better without Harper, but this gives a clear path to Victor Robles, who I expect, if he does start, to be rookie
got a
of the
call,
year.
Huck.
So here we go. Good evening. You're the first caller tonight on the best damn sports show in Franklin County.
Well, hello, guys. How we doing?
Great.
How you doing?
Hey, caller, do you like my shirt? It's a L.A. Rams.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You look like Kurt Warner.
Well, I do.
Yeah.
I'm good looking like Kurt Warner.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting back to baseball there with the Nats. Geez, I looked at their potential starting lineup for 2019, and I really don't see a spot for him. I mean, with Robles coming up, this kid should be a five-tool player.
Yep.
You know, for a paltry $550,000.
Exactly.
You know, your hitting will be there, and with the addition of Brian Dozier, he did have an off year. He was kind of tossed around league to league last year, but I've had him in rotisserie leagues in the past. The guy is usually a 30, 35 home run. He'll usually hit 260, knock in 80, 90 RBIs. But the good thing, too, he can steal 20 bases a year. He has batted leadoff for the Twins for years. So looking down through the Nationals lineup, I mean, these guys should lead the league in stolen bases as well.
Yeah.
No, they're the Nationals did a good job this year. I think the Yankees have done a pretty good job of fixing their holes. I read today where the Phillies are in on Harper, they're in on Machado, they're in on
Dallas
Kimbrel, Keuchel. They could end up with a whole pile of them.
Yeah. Now, one thing about
Yeah, they're going to have to do something. Every year, Phillies are the team that's going to acquire all these people, and it never happens. But they can have them all. Again, with Machado, I think he's just sitting back, waiting for Harper to sign. Again, you know, there was rumors him going to the Yankees. I look at the Yankees lineup. Where do you really need Machado?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have a powerful lineup there. And let's not forget, Judge was out a big part of last year, too. You put him back in the lineup, you know, protect Voit. You know, your first baseman will have 30 or 40 home runs. So, you've got some good young ball players. Again, I would not spend trillions of dollars to force a player into a spot. You really don't need him. So it'll be interesting to see. Like you say, the Phillies, to me, are probably the only landing spots for these people. Like, you know, the Yankees or the Nats, if I was going to spend that money, it would be on, you know, maybe pitching next year, the year after, because, you know, just the bats. You really don't need them.
No.
Well, there's a couple of things. The first thing is, if Bryce Harper was hitting in New York, he'd be really good. Can you imagine sticking him between Judge and Stanton? How do you pitch?
Yeah, with that right field,
Yeah.
I mean, he would get 50 home runs.
And
But the Yanks, is there any chance the Yanks hierarchy is paying more attention to Harper than it appears?
I think so, because I'll tell you what, I read a thing on Sunday on Hal Steinbrenner. And Steinbrenner spends a lot of time reading the blogs and the PR stuff. And I think that really had a lot to do with how lukewarm they really were towards Machado. Because the fan base really loves this team. For the first time in about 15 or 20 years, you really had a team you could root for. You had a bunch of young guys. You had Sanchez and Judge and Torres, and they were pretty good. They were a pretty likable bunch. And nobody's less likable than Machado.
Really?
He's got to be the least liked guy out there.
Yeah.
Second, you sell.
Yeah, there's
Puig.
certainly character issues.
Yeah.
And Puig, I would say, is even more liked
Right.
than Machado.
Really? Okay.
Though, but it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So anyway, you got that, and then on the other hand, and of course they've been talking about resetting the luxury tax and all that stuff. But I mean, Harper is good, and I think they could find a way. They could, because they're going to, whatever they do, they're going to sign him. It's got to be at least 6, 7, 8 years.
Right.
They could, because they're going to lose 2, 3 outfielders next year. You know damn well they aren't going to keep
Gardner.
Gardner,
Right.
and Hicks is going to be a free agent next
Yep.
year, and they've got they'll open up the bank for Judge.
Yeah. Well, that's actually a good point, because they feel like if they can babysit and shuffle the lineup around for the year until these other guys are gone.
Plus, don't take for a second that the Yankees feel that they were this far away from the Red Sox last year, and they want to beat the Red Sox.
Yep.
There's no doubt.
You think?
There's no doubt about it, and they'll do, I think, this year whatever it takes to do it. Now they
You know, even if they match last year's wins, it's a great year. I mean, they had a fantastic year,
had a great
but
year.
they were a bit overshadowed. I mean, I would be very happy going in and matching what you did last year.
Absolutely.
Well, they had 100 wins, but they weren't. I would say they weren't fundamentally sound in that their fielding at third was bad. Their fielding at short at a second and first was just fair to poor. And I can't tell you how many games I listened to where they would get a guy on second, leadoff double, and couldn't get him in.
I think that's pretty much true.
Yeah,
for all
I think
teams.
your biggest problem, David, was behind the plate.
Yeah, and he supposedly is feeling a lot better. They had to do quite a bit to his shoulder. I think he was hurting worse than what he
Here's
said.
what I thought was going to happen earlier this winter was, and he still will be traded, JT Realmuto
Right.
from the Marlins, might be the best catcher in baseball, will get traded. And I thought Gary Sanchez was going to be traded to the Marlins. And then you would go out and get a Gomes or a Grandal, who just signed with the Brewers this
Boy,
week.
did he took less than what he would have got from taking the qualifying
Yep,
offer.
he did, but they gave him incentives where he could match that. Caller, I one interesting point. Craig Kimbrell, who's looking for about $16 million a year, and you know my feelings about closers. Matt Barnes did arbitration or signed before arbitration last week. He's exactly 10% of what Kimbrell is. He signed for $1.6 million. If the season started tonight and the Red Sox were up 3-2 in the ninth, Matt Barnes would be your closer. Do you want to spend $16 million on Kimbrell?
Or
do
do
you want
you
to
think Bracer would be the closer?
Who would be?
Frazier, the guy who came out of nowhere, had a good year for him. Yeah, maybe.
Right.
Maybe. Who's also getting nothing.
Brazier goes, see what I like with Brazier, too? He goes right after the hitters.
Yep.
Barnes throws a lot of pitches. He's slow on the mound, and he had some success, seventh and eighth inning. But Brazier was a bulldog. He throws good, he throws hard, and a few pitches. If the season was to start today, I would say Brazier would be the stopper, the closer.
And when I
be.
talk about closers,
Could be.
I think I did last week, the top 10 closers in all of baseball last year, 5 of them were names that you weren't even familiar with.
Right.
And like I said, Edwin Diaz for the Mariners, who's now on the Mets, he had 57 saves. And if you had asked anybody before the season last year, they wouldn't have not known who Edwin Diaz is. And he got 57 saves. Well, for a team that barely played 500. And again, these saves are so useless.
I didn't watch, but I listened to, they had Zach Britton on MLB after he signed with the Yankees. He could have gone a couple other places and been a closer and could have got more money, but he wanted to go to the Yankees, and what Boris was his agent. And what they did is the contract has like 3 opt-outs and 2 opt-ins, so that if he plays better and comes back to the form that I think he's going to be, because you take 2 years ago, he was the best closer in baseball.
Yeah. Now, I don't want to sound overly narcissistic like I usually am, but I think the general managers of the world are starting to think like me, that these ninth inning pitchers aren't as valuable.
No, because you might need that guy.
No more valuable than the guy that coming in the 6th, 7th inning with runners at first and second with
Absolutely.
1 out. I mean, that
you saw that during the World Series, and you saw Tampa Bay do it all year with success.
Now, another pitcher who might be moving.
And back in the day, I hate to sound old, but your late inning pitchers were your old starters that were no longer starters.
Yeah.
You didn't have your specialty 7th and 8th and 9th inning pitchers. These guys were your former starters.
Yeah. Well, I have a feeling if these relief pitchers were that good, they'd be starters. And that's the way I really, really feel. And Chapman I think, had a wasted career. He's a very good reliever.
So they tried him as a starter.
But when he came up with the Reds, and he throws 100 miles an hour, what is he doing throwing 65 innings a year? This guy should be a starter.
Of course, you can't throw
100 miles an
200
hour.
innings.
Yeah, they
100
might
miles
be
an hour.
afraid he'd just burn himself.
You blow your
out.
arm out. Any guy that pitches 100 miles an hour never pitches 200 innings 20 years in a row unless you're Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, and Nolan Ryan said, and I said this story probably 10 years ago on the show, he was in the booth during a baseball game, and at that time he might have been 46. And they asked him about pitching, could you go out and pitch today? He goes, there's absolutely nothing wrong with my arm. He goes, what killed me was my legs. I lost my legs, and I, which is the essence of throwing is with your legs. So, but caller, like we talked about last week, it's just a matter of patience. 2 more weeks, and these guys that are going to be calling teams, I'll play 1 year minimum wage for you. And as I mentioned earlier, the Nats need a left-hand relief pitcher, and I have no concerns. They'll get somebody.
Yeah, they'll fill in the spots, I'm sure. But, I do like quality, too, not just the body.
Yeah. And next year, too.
I've got a question, a little trivial question for Duke and David. It's about the Expos, so I've got to not let you chime in on this, Nighthawk.
Okay.
A couple buddies and I were talking old baseball, and, we had to scratch our heads for about an hour. It's probably an easy question for you two guys, but
Probably not
I
for
believe
me.
it was during the 90s. What was the Expos name that had the nickname the Big Cat?
Oh, I know.
Galarraga.
Andres Galarraga.
Andres Galarraga. You always could
Very good. David, I wish you were with us today. We were knocking our heads around for an hour.
Yeah, he was a guy you could get out on a slider. He'd always go fishing for the low outside pitch.
He had a good career, though.
Well, he went to the Colorado Rockies, and I completely dismiss anybody that has played for the Colorado
no, but
Rockies.
he was good at one with Montreal.
He had a great glove. Had a good
Yeah.
good pair of hands. Yep.
Hawk, I'm
For you,
freaking out.
Nighthawk, how did he get that name? Where did that name originate?
I'm only going to guess, and I don't know, is I just said he had good hands. Is probably, quick as a cat. That's the only explanation.
Hawk, I'm freaking
Okay, I'll
out.
buy
Didn't you give
into
me
it.
an Expos book a while back?
A week or two ago, about the
Jeez, I
19.
wonder where I didn't throw it out, but I have no memory of what I did with it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, guys, we'll let you go. Have a good evening
Yeah,
and a
good,
great show.
yeah, good luck Sunday, caller.
Thanks.
Stay warm, Bobby.
Thank you.
Stay
Okay, bye-bye.
warm.
You too, Duke.
Thanks.
I
Thank
just,
you.
One tidbit.
Jeez,
and
Hawk,
we-
what did I do with that book?
It was it was about the Expos 1991
I took it
season.
out of here.
And
Jeez.
it was by Danny Gallagher. Came out in October.
I didn't
But
throw it out.
If you
Hopefully I'll
lost
find
it,
it.
I've already read it.
Right.
I don't keep books.
Um,
One tidbit. Let
okay,
me get
shoot.
this in. We can talk about the Patriots and the 18-year history of Tom Brady, blah, blah, blah. But I made a copy of this I was reading this week, and I said, boy, I have to bring this up. Okay, why are the Patriots as good as they are? Reason number 8,746, that the Patriots are the Patriots. The Giants overall got good play from Nate Soldier after signing him to a 4-year, $62 million contract, $15.5 million a year. He gave up 7 sacks and 33 pressures in 1,027 snaps. New England replaced Soldier with Trent Brown, who got roughly the same production, 3 sacks, 35 pressures, 1,090 snaps
At about a fifth of the money or something? Or
for $1.9 million. Belichick knows when to let these guys. And Soldier, I said, even with the Patriots.
and they
he-
offered,
he's-
they wanted Soldier back, though. They paid
did. They
They
offered-
would have paid him good money.
Right, but they weren't
they
going
would
to
have
give
been happy
stupid
had he
money.
come back.
And the Giants were desperate, and they gave him a desperate contract. And Soldier got off to a slow start, but played well. And like I said, he's not an all-pro player, but he's better than
I
average.
suspect if the Giants had had a better right side, Solder would have had fewer sacks given up because that whole thing, the first 5 or 6 weeks, they were just leaking oil all over.
Right, because Eli got sacked 47 times this year, the most times ever. But the second half, it might have been like a 30-17 first half to second half. But the Giants line, Soldier, Hernandez, had a really good
Yeah,
year.
those two are gonna be
and
good.
John Jalapa, the center, was hurt the third game. Whether they re-signed Jamal Brown, who was an average player, came in midseason from the Rams.
He helped them a lot, though.
Right. And then they'll get a right tackle. Now, I will tell you this. I don't wish to tell you how much time I spend on the draft, preparing for the draft, okay? But I finally learned my lesson last week when I'm listening to a podcast, and I don't know if they use the word temper your thoughts.
Temper your enthusiasm. or-
Your thoughts about these draft choices because
Really? Why do you spend your life on the draft talk?
because I
That's
like
absurd.
anything I do in life, I like to be prepared. So this guy said, "Why are you even talking about the draft?" Like me, I'm always sitting here talking about getting this Jonah Williams from Alabama with the number 6 pick because mock drafts have Dwayne Haskins going to the Giants at 6. It's not going to happen.
They don't need.
And-
Haskins
right,
isn't good enough
right.
for them.
He's
to-
only played 1 year. Teams are going to jump up, okay, to get Haskins, okay? So he'll be gone before the 6th. So, but what if instead of me doing all the studying, free agency starts like March 15th, give or take, and we always have. If you don't have them the first 48 hours, let alone maybe the first
football,
24
it's all done.
Right, it's done. It's done, and you better have them in 24. You might get an extra 24 to get the second-tier player, but it's done. It's not like baseball. So the Giants may very easily pick up that right tackle, and here I am, and I watch video on this guy and break him down.
How about Nick Foles?
Don't want him.
Don't want Nick Foles?
Nope.
He's pretty good, Nick Foles.
Don't want him. Hey, I think Jaguars is where he'll end up with.
I was stunned when Philadelphia was driving. I mentioned last week, the last guy, if the Pats happen to make it to the Super Bowl, the last team I want to see is the Eagles. I was sure the Eagles were going to move in, get a touchdown, go to the
Hey, that
championship
pass,
game.
that last
Of course, it was
pass,
a good pass.
That pass
David,
that Foles made, he
receiver.
hit the guy right in the
David,
hands.
right
The
here,
receiver totally
Alshon
screwed up.
Jeffrey. Put it right where it could catch
the
it.
receiver
what a
totally
beautiful.
screwed up.
And at first, when I saw the play live, I said, "Ooh, boy, kind of."
He makes that catch.
They showed the replay.
It went right through his hand.
Perfect
He
spiral
makes,
right through his
he
hand.
makes the catch the Eagles probably are to the championship game.
David, I'm going to tell you.
And I would be freaking out.
Nick
if thought
Foles.
of-
Nick Foles is good.
And he's
Did he
very
used to
good.
be with the Rams?
he did play with the Rams.
And he was terrible.
Yeah. Well, actually, he I don't know if he was on the Rams. He did make the Pro Bowl 1 year. But, Dave, I'm going to tell you a prediction I made about 45 years ago, maybe 40 years ago. Do you remember the receiver from the Philadelphia Eagles, Harold Carmichael?
I sure do.
Okay, he was like 6'7", and I
Yeah.
said, that's the new wave of NFL football. Get these really super tall guys, throw the ball up, but never really came to fruition.
I'm intrigued with Nick Foles because if the Giants had a chance to get him, of course he's still going to be another $20 million a year.
Yes, he will.
Do you keep Eli? Say they get him. Is Eli? See Eli?
Oh, yeah,
Thanks.
absolutely.
Oh, yeah, they would
Yeah,
get rid of Eli.
obviously gone.
But I think what they're going to do, I think they're going to fix up a lot of their other leaks. They got bigger problems than Eli. I think how they would do it is they would prioritize and say, okay, well, our worst thing is our pass rushers are terrible. We need a pass rusher number one. Then maybe number two, we need a right tackle or a right guard.
David, and here's my focus is on the right tackle because he will solve all the offensive problems, period.
Yes.
Okay, get that, and then you can forget about the offense, okay?
Because even the offense wasn't that bad this year, but their defense,
David,
they blew every
well,
game.
you told me, and I didn't believe you not to check, you told me that the Giants led
the
their
league
division
in points.
in points. I go,
Did they? Did they?
yeah,
really?
they
I didn't
did.
believe. I went
They
home.
did.
I said, I don't think David's right, and they did. So
So their defense is just.
you get that right
pathetic,
tackle,
huh?
it's solved. But David is right. Our ends are so bad. And Olivier Vernon,
He's
okay, I hope they let him go. Then we really have nothing. Yeah, our defense is really, really bad.
defense is like wet toilet paper.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Boy, there
terrible.
is a segment of the population, not that I have to tell you guys, but I forget where I saw it, but there's X number of people who just think Eli is just horrible.
David, or David,
I
Duke.
keep reading stories
Duke.
about
He's
this.
not that bad.
Duke,
I'm just
I
saying what I
told you.
read. There's just a segment that
Yeah, I know,
disregards him
I know.
as worthless.
and again, I'll use the word narcissistic, but I've seen every snap, man. These writers that you're reading on 1,000 different sites on the internet.
Yeah.
They don't watch every play that Manning's making. They don't see where Brady's got time to pass in the pocket and Manning has to
How
get
many
his
times did he get sacked? 40?
47.
And
Did he
the
really?
47, he probably was rushed.
So pressured
500 times.
four
Yeah.
times that?
Yeah.
He
Oh,
only
yeah.
had a chance to throw. He threw the quickest he
that
had to
right?
throw in 1.3
So the O-line
seconds or
was
something.
just
He
pathetic,
still
huh?
threw for 4,300 yards.
Really?
4,299 to be exact. He had, it's 65.5%.
And they never figured out their run game until after the bye week.
Yep.
When they finally got Barkley to take some of the dirty yards
Yeah.
to use their
Yeah.
quotes.
Of course, that one game when they were way ahead in the first half, was that Eagles? And then
Eagles
they
are
sat
at
'em-
19-3.
They sat them in the second half, basically? Or
Well, the game got away from. They had a couple penalties,
Yeah.
and by then, but see,
Now, David, Barkley did lead the league in negative yardage. Remember Barry Sanders? Won the all-time record. He always
the most plays with the lost yardage?
with negative yards. Yeah, Barry Sanders always used to lead.
Oh, really?
Because Barkley, even though he's got a completely different physique than Sanders, as Sanders and Barkley are home run hitters. Barkley ended the season, I believe, with a 5.1 yards
Did he
per
really?
carry.
Wow.
Yes, but dude,
That's impressive.
but when you run for an 80 yards,
he had
on a
how
carry,
many 40 or 50 yard runs
yeah,
did he have?
right. So that kind of skews
Yeah.
because I kind of like, and I'm not going to say anything negative about Barkley,
Sure.
but I like the consistent guy
Sure.
where you get the ball and he's getting 4.5 yards.
But again, if there are a bunch of plays he's losing yards on, obviously that's going back to the
The line,
O-line not
absolutely.
being great.
Because one of my all-time favorite running backs was 30-some years ago, very consistent, John Riggins.
Yes.
Okay, from Kansas. Okay, just
As in Redskin, John Wiggins.
yeah.
Wiggins.
And what a
Starts-
card he was.
yes, he was. He started with the Jets, great years for the Redskins.
Not touching this. Feel free to
So-
keep drinking
Didn't
water
he
there,
sit out?
man.
Didn't he sit out a year because he was mad at somebody for a contract? And so he sat out a year
Oh, yeah.
with no pay because back then there was no free agent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hawk, speaking of the draft, what about my man Daniel Jones these days? What's he looking at?
Well, I can see him. Let me think. First round pick,
First round pick?
number 28
Really?
to the New England Patriots. I
Yeah?
think he could. That's where I think Jones is going to fall. Now,
I'd
again,
take
every week
that.
I'll say on the show, quarterbacks look better every week. You get closer to the draft. But me thinks that he could be available for the Patriots. Brady's 40, and
Oh, I think the Patriots absolutely should draft
right
somebody.
now. Another scenario for the Patriots, didn't have that great of the year, but if he gets coached up, remember Ryan Finley from North Carolina?
North Carolina State. That's
He
his
could
state.
be a third, fourth
What
round
about
pick.
this?
Not to mention State. State's had a has,
what about
has
this
a lot of
quarterback
good
from
QBs.
Oklahoma?
David, do you know how
Is
tall I
he,
am?
are we talking football
do you know
or
how,
baseball? That's
okay,
a
do you
big
know
question,
how tall
right?
I am?
He's 5'7".
Is
Well-
he five? I thought he was 5'9".
They have
Yeah.
him in the Oklahoma program. They have him listed at 5'9" and 7/8.
Is
A
that-
lot of
he's not
people
even-
I'm
he's not
reading
even
right
that?
now is
Wow.
they believe he's closer to 5'8". Okay,
Really?
same size as me. He doesn't have my
Is
athletic
that enough to
ability.
kill him or not quite necessarily?
I read a thing that if he were 4 inches taller, he'd be the number one pick without a doubt.
Okay.
Is that
okay.
right?
Now I look at
5'8", huh?
I look at Murray,
He's 5'8".
and he's very athletic looking. But then I look at Daniel Jones, who I'm enamored with. I watched Duke a couple times this year. He's 6'5", and he looks like the type.
He looks like the
he looks like a man.
But you know what? Football is changing, and these running
Look at
quarterbacks
Lamar Jackson,
are less.
I still don't buy into those guys.
But they
Okay.
run these jet sweep things,
Yeah.
and there's all
David,
this action now.
David, but you cannot reinvent the wheel. Yeah, you have the Patrick Mahomes can run out of the pocket.
Russell Wilson's only about
right,
5'11".
Right, but you get
also another NC State connection.
Yeah.
David, you get a skilled guy like Daniel Jones, who I expect to have a decent career. He's 6'5". Play to his strength, make him the proverbial pocket passer.
Like Eli Manning.
You know,
But you look at the guys that can move. You look at Mahomes.
but Tom Brady's not a mover. He can, but he's
Yeah, but
Tom Brady's got beautiful feet. You watch him in the pocket.
But he's done. He you know.
he can't. He's got. It
shuffles pretty well. He
Right,
took him 20
he's a
years to do
shuffler.
pretty well.
1,000 yards.
And again, Tom Brady's a computer. He's not a human being because
Right.
you can see his feet are so beautiful, and he just scans that whole field. That's the difference with him.
But I think in today's game, a guy like that Oklahoma quarterback,
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray, he may actually have a place. I think that football is more prepared for a guy like him than they were for Doug Flutie,
Yeah.
who's the same exact
Yep.
place. And it took Doug Flutie having to play in Canada for 10 years
Yep.
before they finally realized, hey, this guy can play football.
My memory of Flutie is when Belichick let him drop kick the
Yep,
extra.
I do remember that, yeah.
That's great.
But Flutie was good, and if Flutie were playing today, I think Flutie would have been
Bit of a plus.
a good start.
I agree. The other quarterbacks, Drew Lock out of Missouri, will be a first-round pick.
Boy, not a lot of.
There's
not
it's
lot of
the worst. I
QBs,
told
huh?
you before.
Worst
This
class?
is the worst quarterback class in my whole life.
Is that college? Do we go back? Are colleges doing something?
Well,
different?
you're going to have a few quarterbacks. That Lawrence kid, when he comes through,
He's a real quarterback, but you have a lot of quarterbacks in college that are also runners.
Yeah, they aren't really great
Where they
throwers.
threw for 3,000 yards but ran for 899. Well, they're not going to last in the NFL.
not it. But the with the whole change of emphasis today with the mobile quarterback and all that, it's different. It's different. Football is different now, and the other thing is that with the lack of hitting on defense, one of the perceptions I got, I just finally figured it out.
I.e., don't hit that guy because you're going to get a penalty. If
You know what
hit
they do now? They let these guys because they can't hit them over the middle like they used to. They let them grab and hold. It's pass interference. How 5 years ago, all these passes would all be called for pass interference.
right, so-
Now they don't call any of it. And you can have your hands up on a guy, back to the play, hands up like this, face guard him. They don't even call it a penalty
Yeah.
anymore.
All right, so those penalties have gone way down.
Nothing.
Just slightly to compensate because they feel bad for these guys not being able to hit them without a
Well,
penalty.
I
or
think
something?
the intimidation you don't have Jack Tatum coming over breaking guys' necks.
Yes.
Yeah.
David, I'll harken back to something you said 3 years ago, which is so true. With the rule changes on practicing, where you're only in pads 1 day a week, I just don't think these players are as
No.
tough, and not blaming them, but it's not ingrained in them where they every single day. It's your pads 1 day, then you go out and play Sunday and hope you don't
It's
get hurt.
it's a different game.
Yeah.
And don't you still wonder if football's with us in 20,
Well,
30, 40 years?
nobody's complained about this, but the onside kick, the new rules this
They
year,
gotta-
where you can't stack the line on one side. That used to be
Oh, the onside kick,
really
why?
exciting play.
Might as well
Why,
just
right,
say,
why,
forget it.
Duke? Why? Exactly, why?
Well, you know why?
Yeah, that's
because
a
you got guys
non-why.
like Belichick, who I'm sure are on that committee, that figure we played 59 minutes and we did everything right, and all of a sudden one screwball play and we could lose
Yeah.
the game.
Yeah, tell them. Too bad he wasn't thinking about that in the Miami game with Gronk on the field.
Yeah, and I said this before.
No
They have
offense to
taken
Gronk.
away the best, most exciting play in football used to be the kickoff. And I'm trying to remember great guys from St. Louis Cardinals had a little guy, and I can't remember the names top of my head.
Oh, Giants, Rocky Thompson, and
But
Homer
but
Jones and-
that ball needs to be. Where do they kick off from now? The 40, 35,
30, no,
35.
not 40, 35.
35. But they need
Not
to bring
40.
that back to the 30-yard line and give the guy a chance. But again, it's all about safety.
they don't want to have the
Right.
kickoff.
So
Yeah.
my feeling is
Yeah, might as
eliminate
well
it and
put
just
the ball
put
to 25.
Yeah. It's,
But yeah,
And-
the onside kicks become a joke. Why bother?
Duke, if you heard on the 4 times out of 50 some odd times, it's been successful
Yeah.
this year. It's not.
Now you know what Gronk. I've read a lot where he's all done
I
this
missed
year.
Gronk's one catch in the Chargers game, but he had a heck of a game. Like Tara Sullivan, the Globe's fine,
Mm-hmm.
pretty new columnist, just had a column saying, "Hey, if you think Gronk's gone from watching that game, you're crazy." I mean, he blocked his
Oh, he is good. Yeah.
tail off, but I'd be real surprised if he's back. next
Yeah,
year.
because they say he's just been playing through injuries this
But
year.
I'd like to think he's got one or two more games in him. He's obviously
Well,
got one more game.
The most important asset any person has, especially politics, is the likability factor. I can see Gronk retiring, going straight to Hollywood, and just
Yeah, that
being
could be.
the buffoon character. And
Whatever.
He
And
could-
he supposedly has been, I keep reading, very smart. He hasn't spent 1 cent of his
I
regular
read
salary.
2
or
years
something.
ago, I read a story about him, and he said, "I have not spent 1 cent of my salary.
impressive.
All the money I have is from endorsement that I
Yeah,
spend."
that's impressive.
And I think he might drive an old pickup truck or something like
But
that.
speaking of Pats receivers, Julian Edelman, how much do I love this guy? And I love these Pats guys, forget they'll never make, I guess, Pro Bowl and stuff good. Have your Pro
Right.
Bowlers. How good is that guy?
Dude.
And like fullback, is James Devlin the only fullback left in football? I think he had 1 carry last week, but a great blocker. I
Giants
love-
have one. Elijah Penny is
Oh,
pretty
I
good.
love
But
guys like
fullbacks are
this.
kind of like done.
You're Maurice
love-
Carthon.
Yeah.
Not to
But-
mention James White. He's not good enough. All he caught was 15 passes
exactly.
to tie a playoff record
Right.
for a back.
But you look at between Michelle and White.
Sony Michel, fine
Okay,
game.
that's pretty formidable running.
And Rex Burkhead is now,
Right,
he had
he got
one
a
running
touchdown.
touchdown.
Yeah,
He's of some use.
So again, I'm taking the 3, and I'm going.
I'll
with
tell
the-
you what I would do too I think if I were the Giants, I'd get rid of Beckham. And,
Oh, I would
take,
too.
Take
All
what
right,
you can
and
get.
just get, what would you get for Beckham?
You'd get
For-
maybe a
for-
first round
yeah.
pick.
Maybe
listen,
a first round.
Antonio Brown has been squawking. This guy makes Beckham.
What is it
look
with
like
what
that.
is it with these Steelers? I'm
Right.
so tired of
but
these
Brown,
guys.
and they say wants to play with the Niners in the worst way.
Is that right? Thinking
Antonio
that Jimmy
Brown,
G will throw 1,000,000
perhaps,
passes at him?
And Oakland needs a wide receiver. I would love to give Beckham to Oakland. They have the 4th pick in the draft,
Wow.
which would be sweet. Beckham's only 26 years old, if
Yeah.
that.
So you're just tired of him?
I'm
or is
sick
it-
I
of
think you need to clean that locker room up.
Yeah.
When you put yourself above the
Wasn't he
team,
bet he was better? He wasn't too crazy this
He
last
was
season?
better this year,
But he still said some-
He's still all about himself.
but look
Yeah.
how well
They played without him.
Without him, he missed
Yeah.
the last 4 games.
No, really? Did
Evan
he really?
Ingram looked like God playing the last 4 weeks of the season. Spread the ball around. I'm sure Beckham is right in the huddle. Give me the ball, and he's
Yeah.
in Manning's ear. So no, take the money. He gets 15, 16 million a year.
Yeah.
Defensive free agents.
Yeah, I would do
But
that.
Gettleman did say we didn't sign him this year.
Well, they all lie, and they aren't gonna show their hand. They aren't playing. They aren't showing cards up.
So Bruins Canadians a couple nights ago.
Canadians finally.
Fuck, you
beat
know
them.
what blew my mind? Just the scheduling. It's
Last game of the-
mid-January.
yeah, last
That was the
game.
last regular season game between your best rivals in hockey.
Yeah.
The Bruins. That
Can I
blows-
tell you
me
something?
about that.
And I admit,
What do they play 4 times?
yeah, 2-2
What's
they
the
split.
story? How could they do that?
Well, I'll tell you what. The game I went and saw, which was about a month ago,
One of the worst
They said Terre Haute.
games.
was awful.
4-0 Boston.
But I'm just the schedule that blows my
No.
mind.
didn't they used to play 6 times?
Might have.
I think
yeah.
they did. But the last regular season game is in
So
mid-January.
Monday night, I'm telling you, Bruins completely dominated
Really?
the game.
They should have lost.
Carey Price
Lost
has
in
been
OT.
playing like Carey Price. Ever since Shea Weber's come back,
They've been
he's
playing
been
better.
phenomenal.
Carey he was played out of his mind.
Out of his
right?
mind. Now, they're up 2-1.
Yeah.
The 4th line center,
Oh, and a stupid
with a
penalty,
couple minutes
right?
left, flip the puck in the
unreal.
defensive zone over the glass for a
Unreal.
penalty. And I think it was Krejcik just
So basically a 2-man advantage. They pulled the goalie, obviously.
and Krejcik just hit a
Right.
beautiful shot in the upper right-hand corner.
Boy, your OT winner. Wasn't that he knocked it out of the air? That was
Yeah,
an unreal goal.
slap shot. Tuca made the save, and chest high defenseman. I'm
great
not sure
play.
why he was next to the net. Jeff Petrie just swatted it out of the air.
Great goal.
15 seconds, and that would have been a demoralizing loss
Yeah.
if the the way the Canadians. And again, I like the Bruins, and I know the record probably isn't as good as Bruin fans think, but I still think they're a playoff-made team. Tuca has played really well.
The backup goalie
because
was great
Halak, I
earlier.
think, really made Tuca a better goalie, and they're arguably the best tandem in hockey.
Yeah, it looks like a
so
pretty
last
good
night
team.
the Canadians played the lowly Florida Panthers. Well, a night later
in Montreal or
in
Florida?
Montreal. So coming back from Beantown 24 hours later,
Yeah.
they gave Kerry a rest and put anti-nemenim, whatever you pronounce, 52 saves
Really?
last night. The
And they,
Pan-
and they won?
yeah, we beat them 5-1.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
He started the year horrible. I was saying he's like 37. Cut the guy. You know, bring up somebody from Laval. Outstanding goaltending. So right now,
They're playoffs right now. They're a playoff team, right?
they're the first wild card team, and not that I'm going to sit here and suggest we're as good as the Bruins, because we're not. Bruins have 57 points. Canadians have 57. The Bees
Really?
have 2 games on hand.
So what do you think? You think they're going to make it to the playoffs?
What I look is what's behind me. Buffalo is 5 points below, and they're on a 3-game losing streak. They've been sliding. They had a good start. Carolina is the only team I think that could push them. So I would say right now that it's favorable that they will get one spot. Now, you don't want to get that second wild card because you're in danger of getting a 4-game sweep against Tampa. Tampa is phenomenal.
You don't want to do it.
They have a great goaltender, Russian goaltender, that I'm not even going to attempt to say his name. So if you get the first wild card,
Bruins would be playing the Leafs right now. What I keep hearing anyway.
explain that to me.
I can't. I don't think I can.
The Leafs are in second in the Atlantic. Bruins are third. Do you play your own?
I don't.
Or
You're talking to the wrong
because
guy.
I'm thinking maybe Bruins ranked third.
I
would
keep
play
hearing.
the
I keep
second
hearing
ranked-
Bruins Leafs
Yeah.
is all I keep hearing.
And I know we're still 3 months away, but this
Dave,
is
I
the
know
shock.
you're still months away from.
Oh,
watching
I'm
hockey.
not watching a hockey game till,
Before Stanley Cup.
till
Oh,
April. Yes.
No, the games are good. I'm telling you.
But
The
hockey
games
didn't-
I've seen weren't any good. And then somebody else went to one. My kid went to a game. Bud and Roxanne,
Last or 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago,
Right.
they watched them play Tampa, and they just laid an egg.
No.
It was Nashville. It was Nashville.
Right.
All right,
with,
PK was back in
Subban.
town.
And it was the same thing. That was terrible.
But hockey didn't. What's the story with the last Bruins-Habs regular season game in mid-January? It didn't respond to that.
I'll tell you what. I'd rather have
But
the
a-
last game
a quirk of the
in
schedule.
January than a game like April 8th.
Because those
when
are
it's
worthless.
meaningless.
Those mean nothing.
I agree, but what about February? What about a game in March, maybe? Or
But they
something?
should recognize that is the right.
Isn't that weird?
I agree. It's maybe the last game in March.
When I heard last regular season game, I said, "You got to be kidding me!"
The NHL has the worst scheduling, the worst playoffs. I don't mean the playoff performance. I mean the whole
Just
system.
schedule?
The whole system is wrong.
And they said too that the Bruins Canadians game 2 nights ago was a playoff game. If you didn't know,
Yeah.
it
It's
was
a great game.
so intense. And Nicholas Deslauriers, the fourth line center, went up against Kevin Millar.
Oh, we're talking serious fight, right?
Serious fight.
Wow.
And the best
Oh, is that
comment
right?
I
That
heard
was
was,
Kevin Millar?
those guys are men.
Kevin Miller.
Yeah. So they went toe to toe. Now, I'll fight anybody, okay, on the ice. But if you have the helmet on, I could get 12 raps against you, David.
Didn't one
But
of
if
them have it? Did Miller still have his helmet
Miller
on?
got Deslauriers' helmet off.
Okay.
Okay. Now, in the past, those fights where you say, David and I in the face-off, let's go.
Yeah.
And they would knock their helmets off. Well, maybe 5 years ago, they call it a penalty now if you throw it out.
Really?
Again, if there's a fight, I don't mind fighting you, but I don't want to break my fingers.
Well, hitting on the visors.
On the visors. I'm not sure how much. So, but it was very manly. And there was an article in the Gazette that they said, like the old days, that Deslauriers' fight was the turning point of the game.
Really? When was that fight?
Second period.
Really?
Yeah. And the thing
where'd
about
that come from? Anything in particular?
No, not really.
Miller's a tough
Oh,
kid.
it's very tough. And Kevin Miller played for UVM.
Right.
And
UVM boy.
Mr. Steady, you never noticed him on the ice, but you never once in the 4 years
He
saying,
gets-
boy, he is Mr. Steady, and he's been around for almost 10 years
He gets
now.
very good words from the Bruins
Just
beat
steady.
writers. Steady, solid guy.
I hate getting old, losing my train of thought here. But I will say this: the Bruins and Canadians, the last number of years, it's kind of went down the rivalry because the Canadians dominated for years, the Bruins. So you kind of have to beat each other to make it a rivalry. Then the last few years, the Bruins have been dominating. But for whatever reason, Monday night was just a fantastic game.
I knew it was on. I think a fellow
Figures.
was watching other stuff.
Figures that was a
Probably
game
fell
I didn't
asleep.
go see.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's too bad.
and they were the Garden. Yeah,
It was
and the
Boston.
Bruins had a pretty nice uniform, the Big B.
Oh, is
a
that
real
right?
throwback jersey or uniform
Yeah.
from maybe the 30s, 40s.
Now I did watch the outdoor game New Year's Eve
Yeah, I cut some
or
of
New
the
Year's,
New Year's Day.
That wasn't bad.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. It's a good.
Bruins won that
you got
one.
almost
Now
a
you
half
know what I
hour.
was getting at before I got waylaid. Remember a couple weeks ago I was telling you about Tampa and how they are in the process of voiding their contract,
Are you talking about the Rays?
the Rays.
I think I read something.
Really?
You told me about Ybor City. YBOR. Is that near Tampa?
Is it I think is it Ybor, part of Tampa, basically.
Okay. I think
Where
it was
they made
supposed to be. How do you pronounce it?
I think it's Ybor City.
Ybor
I think.
City.
Feel free
I
to
think is
correct me.
where maybe the park was going into. But yeah, this.
They it's so they've got nothing. They've got nothing in that's in stone anywhere.
Right.
They're all up in the air.
Hey, Quebec City might welcome them.
Well,
No, we're talking the Rays baseball.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got
Yeah.
the wrong. Sorry. I got
and
the wrong
but
sport.
then I was
Is that right? So nobody
That-
said they're up in the
Nothing.
air, huh?
they've got nothing now. Oakland supposedly is all set finally for a new stadium,
Really?
Waterfront Stadium.
Oakland's got some bucko. That's not my kid's brother lives in, had just bought a house in
And-
Oakland. That's a pretty nice spot.
But the commissioner was talking, and he said that they aren't going to do any expansion
Until
until Oakland and Tampa are
Exactly.
situated.
Settles.
David, is your kid Bud? Is he a Yankee?
He's a Yankee, but he's not a.
Okay, because I'm going to say you've never been to Tropicana Field, have you, for a baseball
No,
game?
I haven't.
David,
I've been there for a Duke
okay,
Kentucky
right.
basketball
David,
game.
you really need
To go to see
there.
how bad it is.
Just for a 3-game
Love it.
series, you're going to get really
Hey,
good
you have a
seats.
fly ball that hits off a catwalk that's in play.
Yeah, I know.
So, David, you really need to do that. And the only reason I was at a game down there is because I went to an opening game 12 years ago or so. Giants were at Tampa.
At the
Bucks.
cut opening day at the Trump?
No, at the football game. The opening game,
Oh, that's
the
why you
Giants
were
were
there.
playing the Bucks.
And
I
it's
got you.
September.
It was a pretty new ballpark,
And you
nice
caught-
ballpark.
and you caught a baseball
and the,
game.
Rays were playing the night before, and we said,
Oh,
"What the
that's
heck?"
cool.
And
That's cool.
of course, the Big O has got it.
I was going to say, Hawk, from your millions of games in the Big O,
Right.
how bummed out could you have been by the Trump?
The Big O was like Wrigley or Fenway compared to the Trop.
Yeah.
So I went down there, and it felt like the whole time, and I still remember my thought process, it felt like I was in a convention center, is the way it
Yes.
felt.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, you probably can afford it, David. Go down there for a 3-game series, bring your wife, and just go down there. Then you can come back.
That does make, and for Red Sox fans, that does make a lot of sense. So the Rays, what's the talk about the Rays?
Well,
you hear towns like you hear cities like Charlotte getting some attention, even Norfolk, Virginia Beach, but so Tampa may be real shaky.
they've
It
got
oughta
they've
be
got no
shaky.
long-term lease.
Really.
Their lease is all done with the.
Well, geez, Hawk, Montreal. Does Montreal people are they aware of this?
Oh,
perchance?
absolutely. And again, just check the stats. I don't have them in front of me. We know the Marlins average 14,000 and a
Pathetic.
ballpark.
The Marlins were 10,000 this year.
Was it 10,000?
And are you serious?
I am serious.
Barely five
Oh
figures.
yeah. When the Nats played them, it was just incredible. The empty
God,
seats down
Miami,
there.
how taken? How did
And
Miami
again,
ever spend
well,
money
look,
on that
they traded
stadium?
last year. A kid you might have heard of, Christian Yelich.
Right,
Okay, do you know what he did this year?
had a good year.
He was the MVP of the National League this year.
Hey, the outfield they had between Yelich and Giancarlo Stanton and the kid they sent to Osuna to the
Marcel Osuna
to
St. Louis.
to St. Louis. Those three guys are.
I'm telling you right now,
serious
Stanton's
about-
probably the worst player.
They had a good core of young players, but they didn't want to pay him.
Right.
And
I mean, just like the Expos.
Jeter's running the ball club.
Yeah, he took a bunch of grief, I'm sure, for a while.
Well, I
some
think
grief.
Jeter said, not Jeter, but whoever it was that was talking said that, hey, we couldn't get enough pitching
Yeah.
to make this team good. When they lost that kid that got killed in the boat accident,
The cocaine kid,
Jeez.
all coked up 3 a.m. on a speedboat.
I'm not
What's his name?
forgetting.
he was good.
Yeah,
Right.
He was
Fernandez.
Fernandez.
Yeah,
I remember his first name.
When they lost him, they had nothing for pitching. And so it didn't matter who they had in the field. They weren't going to. They went from an 80-win team to a 60-win team.
Wow.
Yeah.
But they weren't going to be good enough to win.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's the new age of baseball. If you're not going to win, why invest money from going from a 70-win team to a 77-win team?
How did
Just-
how did the hockey team, Tampa Bay, how did the hockey teams draw there? Did they do okay?
I think Tampa does okay.
Tampa
don't
probably-
they?
But
Florida-
they don't sell out.
Florida
the
not
Marlins
so.
now. No, and again
Florida's a funny state. I mean, football's insane.
for
but
the
boy, these other
millionth
sports.
time, though, you guys are old. If you retire, go to Florida. You're still going to have your allegiance to the Bruins because you can buy the hockey package for $129, $139.
So you're
you
just
still
talking to-
watch every single Bruin
There's a
game.
ton of out-of-state people.
Right, that's what Florida is, and hockey's a very selective crowd.
But I mean, football. I mean, it's a football crazy state.
Oh,
also
they
for
love football.
recruits.
Yeah.
Football's huge.
Yeah.
Boy, that's weird. That's weird. But Miami was that bad? 10,000.
10,000 was
That's
our
Yeah, I'll
Unbelievable.
give the stats on that for next week's
That's
show.
unreal.
So, a couple things. I want to hit a lot of topics here tonight.
But what about
Golf.
Celtics hockey? You worried about your Celtics?
I got to get to golf. This is an intriguing story to me.
Man, Matt Kuchar. You
Now,
gotta like
I'm
Matt.
watching the
Great-
Sony
great
Open.
guy.
And Matt Kuchar made a nice comeback.
His second win in his last 3 official starts.
Yeah.
I think, after having
Good
not
for
won
him.
for 4
And the
years.
golf course is not as pretty as
No, it's
Kapalua.
no Kapalua. Have you played the Sony Open course?
No,
though?
no.
What town is that in?
It's in Oahu.
Oahu. Is that okay? And
You see, it's right in the middle of the city.
Really?
Yeah.
So, Matt Kuchar comes back and wins. Good golfer. It's a lot of wins.
Good guy. Georgia Tech, ACC
But
boy.
I read a story before this tournament, and I probably didn't spend as much time digging into it. Maybe, he won the Malaysian Open this fall, okay?
That was the other.
No, Mayakoba, wasn't it?
No,
Well,
Mayakoba.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mayakoba.
Where's that?
In Mexico.
Okay, here's the deal.
Mayakoba.
Please correct me if I'm wrong. His regular caddy couldn't make it. So he
He
went
got-
there.
I know where you're going
He got
now.
a local caddy like a Dave Handy.
This is for Mexico or this last?
No, this one here, this
Hawaii.
weekend.
Okay, now listen to this. And I did not realize that these players, I was shocked, they give their caddies 10%.
I would have guessed. I thought it was 10%.
I would have said 5 and
thought it was
I've been
10.
happy. You win a tournament and you don't win less
If you're
than a
Tiger
million.
Woods'
But if
caddy, you don't get 10%.
Right, but if you miss a cut, you get nothing.
Okay, now, so he won this tournament, but he gave, it makes me laugh.
Give his regular caddy
He,
some
he won
bucks?
about $1 million.
Yeah,
He
million
gave-
plus.
He gave his caddy $3,000.
No, he didn't.
That's what I read.
He didn't give him
But
he gave him more than that, but he didn't give him 10%.
And again, this is a local guy. He just
This is
picked
a
up.
local guy, Dave Handy, works at the club.
Because
5
his,
days a
his
week.
regular caddy,
His regular caddy
didn't
couldn't make
couldn't
it.
make it.
But David,
God, I
what
hope
I
he gave
heard
more than
was they
3,000.
interviewed Kuchar and he kind of denied it. Then he backtracked on his original story.
Oh, really?
And again, I didn't really.
I'm sorry to hear that. He seems like a great guy. I'm sorry to
He
hear
is.
that.
He is
I think
a decent guy.
He's a good guy.
But I think if you're a regular caddy and you say, "Hey, look, I'll give you $5,000 this week," and caddy's not. They've got no contract.
Okay.
I
Well,
mean,
I guess
maybe maybe they had an arrangement beforehand, regardless of what he was.
And
that
he
was the
just
arrangement.
thought
Was
he
he
was at the
told the
store.
guy? That's what I read.
I agree. It seems like he
was, I'll
could have
give you
kicked that
3,000
up
to
a
carry.
little bit.
So I'm gonna. I'm shocked. It's 10. That's
A lot more
of
than
money.
carrying a bag for $100.
So I'm going to ask you guys a basic question: how important is a caddy to the player?
Not very.
I would say it probably depends on the course, where they are, maybe and stuff. But
I think if you're David
I guess if
Handy,
you're a big time pro, I guess the answer would be hopefully not that.
if you're
important.
David Handy and you're playing at St. Andrews, you need a caddy to tell you where to hit the ball.
Right.
If you're Matt Kuchar playing at Sony Open, I could have caddied for him and he'd had the same results.
Yeah. Because
know-
they think not that important.
Remember Nicholas won. Remember he had that guy. Remember he had forever the guy with the gray hair, the gray white afro,
I'm not sure I can
the white
picture
guy,
him.
and he had a big Fu Manchu. And then afterwards, he had his kid caddy for him when he won.
Jackie Jr.
Jackie Jr.
And when he was playing at the Masters, Jackie said, "I was just there for the ride." He tells him what club, and then on 16, he goes, "Is it good?" He goes, "Yes." Jack knew there was no.
But I also hear
Although for folks
That
like
some-
Jordan Spieth, and I'm getting a little
He's all
concerned
screwed
about
up.
Jordan.
Jordan who?
His right, but I'm just saying his caddy seemed to be, when he had his incredible, 2 majors and almost won the 2 others. His caddy, Michael Kreller or somebody, he sure seems to be a key part of the team. So
Well,
there may be some caddies that come into play.
I
more.
think that Spieth right now is so screwed up with his swing. He's
He's faded.
been fooling around. He's
Ryan?
for the last 2-3 years trying to get more power.
Why? He almost won 4 majors a few years ago.
That's the trouble with all of them. It's like Tiger Woods. Tiger
can't get
Woods
enough.
switched his swing 47 times
exactly.
till he finally got.
Boy, maybe Jordan might want to go back to his not worry about distance so much or something.
They get drunk with power and they try finding that extra 2 yards of distance.
Well, it's just the same we talk about salary.
Well, dude,
Why does Joe Blow need to make 25 mil for a team
Right.
that's probably not going to be a good fit when a good team, the team he likes, will pay him 20?
Yeah.
It
David, we
sounds
do
like the
that at
same
Champlain
thing.
Country Club. We'll hit a couple great drives. Then all of a sudden we think we're really good. So we're really going to swing extra hard.
It's
That's
Killer.
And I won't
killer.
do it. I won't do it. But it's just human nature. You do it.
I hit my 3-wood most of the time about as good as anybody.
Yeah.
That's all you need to tee off with.
Is that what you
3-wood.
typically hit off the tee?
I use it more than I used to.
Yeah, 3-1.
I use it, but you still get your stupid driver out. And you know what? And the next thing you know, it's over in the interstate.
Well, the old
from
saying
Route
is the
7.
longer you hit the ball, the better chance of getting in trouble.
Yeah.
Now, another question, too, about caddies. I've heard or read about there's some players out there that they go by the edict of don't speak unless you're spoken to. Then
sure
you
there are
other
a
see
bunch of pros like
other
that.
other caddies that are very
Like I said,
engaging.
Jordan Spieth and his guy are,
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times I think what you get is if you got a really young player, you usually have an older, experienced guy for your caddy.
Especially if you don't know the course that well, obviously.
Yeah, and but some of the it'll take Phil Mickelson. He got rid of Bones 3-4
Yeah.
years ago to use his brother.
Oh, really?
Brother.
I didn't know that.
And you know who's Dustin Johnson's caddy? His brother.
I did not know that
Yeah,
either.
so really the caddy doesn't mean crap, I don't think.
Okay.
I think
In general, probably.
hey, when the caddy starts making the shots,
Yeah. And what's really, really weird to me watching golf now, and I have a memory lapse, guys putting and the stick's in, and my mind immediately goes, hey, you left the stick in, with that new rule about.
So some of Bryson DeChambeau's been using the
He's
stick
been
in
leaving
some,
the
but
stick in a lot.
Most of them are still
Can
pulling
I tell
in.
you, I couldn't have told you who Bryson DeChambeau was a year ago if he sat next to
course,
me.
he had
Well, I
his
could have. He's
incredible
always
end of
worn
the
that,
season. Right.
that
The hat.
Watching so much golf, this guy is a
good.
really good.
Well, a couple of years ago, he played in the Masters, his first Masters, and had a very good Masters. And he did come down to Hilton Head the next week, so I got a good.
He's a good player,
dose of him. He's very good.
and all his
He's
clubs are
very
the
good.
same length.
Okay.
Oh, is that right?
That's the cool thing.
No, he's a
including
very
his
good player.
putter.
Very
So
good
the
player.
big news today is your best friend Tiger has announced his first tournament.
Didn't you say Riviera?
Torrey
right?
Pines?
Oh, Torrey.
Oh, he's
is that
going to
right?
do.
Once I'm not sure when Torrey is.
Not far away, a couple of weeks away. They're in
Yes.
California tomorrow.
Where
right?
the farmers and short.
No,
I'm
they're-
sorry.
Tomorrow they're
Desert Classic,
Desert Classic tomorrow.
which
In
is what?
California, isn't that
Yes.
like Palm Springs?
Palm
area?
Springs.
Then they've got the Farmers Insurance Open, which I'm not sure.
Isn't that
The
that's Torrey,
farmers-
that's Torrey Pines?
that's Torrey Pines.
Okay, then I think this is the one you like, the Waste Management in Phoenix.
Yeah,
is that
that's
the
a
one
hoop.
with the grandstands?
Yeah, that's a hoop.
The Phoenix, AKA Phoenix Open.
Right.
Okay,
But that's really
right.
not. Phoenix Open is really an exhibition because you've got 200,000 people.
Hundreds
there.
of thousands of people.
They have they had like
Right.
over 200,000 people the last
Yeah,
day.
unbelievable.
And you got 30,000 people just on that 16th hole.
I'd love. That sounds.
And
talk
they're
about a
yelling
party.
and screaming and hollering.
Right.
It's not like the Masters. It's
No.
just, but it's good to
Hey,
get
you know
the
what?
season going.
I'm hearing. I might. Nothing definite, but
Where are you going?
I might have a shot at a day at the Masters, courtesy of Jennifer's first cousin Betsy, who lives in Athens, Georgia.
Okay.
She made some noise last year, but conceivable. I
Wow.
may not know till close, but I just might get back to the Masters for a day, maybe.
You were there 2001?
with my old friend Bill
Okay.
Bill Moore.
Now,
Well, you can
2001.
see
I
T-Bone.
remember you telling me
No, it's great.
back then, 18 years ago, you said, Hawk, the prices were reasonable.
No, they think
the,
they're still
the food.
Right.
You're,
The pimento cheese sandwiches. I don't think they've gone up much.
Egg salad is
$2.50 or
like
something.
$3 or something. Yeah.
Right. Beer's probably $4 or $5.
right, crazy.
Like
So-
I said, no, the Masters folk, I've mentioned this a million times. I can see those guys just sitting at their board meeting and just saying, look what the Super Bowl, $15 for a beer. We're gonna treat our patrons. If they can somehow get in here, we're gonna treat them well.
Yeah.
They still do.
So, okay, now we talk Celtics.
Boy, are you getting a little concerned? More than a little. They're playing what, Toronto tonight?
Game of
They're
the
seven-
year.
Game of the year. They're seven. They win tonight. Big deal. They're still 6 games behind.
Well, I say game of the year because they
better
need to
be
get
for the
their
Celtics,
identity
maybe.
back because Jaylen Brown
Jalen's been making
terrible
some
this
noise.
year. Hayward,
also been
and
making some noise.
I take what you said last week about his ankle because I read about another player and I don't remember his name. Said it took him a full year.
Absolutely.
A full year before he got back to health. So give Hayward, but he's really an average
What
player.
about Jason? I just don't hear. Is Jason having a decent
Well,
year?
here's the problem. Kyrie Irving did an OBJ on the Celtics. Watching the game, and Hayward threw the ball in with a couple seconds left. Celtics are down on a point or two.
Yeah.
And Hayward didn't get the ball. Jason Tatum, who might be the best pure shooter on the team, shot and just missed by that much.
Yeah.
Kyrie walks to Hayward like, what the hell were you doing here?
Right as the game ended.
Yeah, you don't call people. I don't care if he beats them up in the locker room.
I.e., why the heck didn't you pass the ball to me?
Exactly. And Tatum took a step back, had a nice shot.
Tatum doesn't seem to be a bad choice.
And missed. But guys, and
So a
I'm at
little
the-
dissension here, or is that too strong?
there might be some locker room dissension. Yeah, I may be stupid here, but Kyrie's a great player. I'm not so sure if they're a better team with him, just by evidence of what occurred last year when he was out. Terry Rozier was great. Terry Rozier needs to be the man.
Yeah.
He comes in, has had a horrible year coming off the bench.
Yeah.
Uh,
hasn't been
Jaylen Brown
been real happy.
and Tatum just spiraled to the top last year.
Yeah.
Kyrie's a free agent. You already have max contracts out to Hayward. To Al Horford is a max contract.
Yeah. Although Kyrie, for what it's worth, maybe nothing, making some noise that he'd like to hang around. Which I
He
realize
did say
maybe-
he wants to stay in
maybe worth
Boston.
nothing,
But my feeling too is if this season goes south for him, obviously they will make the playoffs.
yeah.
New York kid, the Knicks will give him.
God, you
a
think
max
the
contract.
Knicks would love him
Oh, there's a talk in the New York Post all the time
about
Kyrie.
Kyrie.
About going to the
Oh
Knickerbockers.
yeah. Of course, the Knicks are just the Knicks
What
are
a-
like
what
the
an
black hole of
embarrassment.
Calcutta.
What an
Yeah.
embarrassment!
They've been bad. They haven't had a good team since Willis Reed.
Unreal.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Well, actually,
Patrick Ewing made it
years,
to the
maybe,
finals
yeah.
one year.
no, the
And
Knicks
that
are.
was 20 years ago.
Yeah, at
Talk
least.
about one of the NBA's, key franchise. What a joke.
Yeah.
It is. And, you can talk about Boston, you can talk about LA Lakers, but there's nothing more special than Madison
What
Square
is
Garden.
Brad Stevens? Hawk, you're all over the Celtics. I read stuff. Is Brad Stevens getting pressed a bit on these?
No,
not at all.
not at this point.
No.
Now, just to look at the record, they're in 5th place, and I'm just looking to get home court the first round. They're
Hey, Ben.
3 games behind Philly and 4 games behind Indiana.
And 7 behind Toronto, right, going
Right,
into
7
tonight?
behind. And Toronto's the best team in basketball. I'm not saying
All
it
right,
now.
best team in
Listen,
basketball?
You watch the game tonight, 8 o'clock start. just ultimate team They're the Patriots of the NBA. They play team basketball.
And the Spur guy,
Now the Warriors aren't
Mr.
as
Leonard's
good.
having a great year.
Yeah, a MVP type season.
The Warriors aren't as good as they've have been.
The Warriors had a game against Denver last night and scored where they get in the first quarter 51 points, I think, in the first quarter to break the NBA record.
Well, speaking of
51
that,
points.
didn't
in
the
first-
Celtics give up 44 in a quarter to somebody the other night?
They did.
Celtics have had some horrible defensive.
Golden State,
times.
David, won above Denver last night in a matchup. So Golden State's first, and Denver is second.
So they're still good, Golden State.
Oh yeah, they're still good. And Golden State has gone after the brass ring, like meaning win the most games in NBA history. But you find out that you burn out by the time playoffs come out. And this is why, like when I look at the Bruins right now, they're still a very good team, but take it easy. Take it easy till mid-April.
Oh, I think they're all doing it.
Yeah. Winning the
All you
President's
got to do is the team that wins the President's Cup
this never wins.
and never wins a Stanley Cup.
Never.
Once in
about-
1 out of 10, maybe.
KD, is the talk that KD's out of there after this season, Kevin Durant? Seems like that's what I hear.
Well,
I guess
let me
we'll
tell
see.
you this. I have very little respect for Kevin Durant
Yeah.
because
Of
he
course,
could
the
have went.
Celtics seemingly came very close to getting him.
Well,
right?
Tom Brady was part of the entourage
Right.
for the sit-down meeting, and I would have told you, and I would have bet you, he's going to sign with the
Really?
Celtics because he could have been the man with the Celtics. Instead, he just wanted to be one of the coat hanger-oners with Golden State. He could not take the pressure of being the man. Big deal. So he's on Golden State. Yes, he's a great player. Now, I haven't heard much news about Durant.
Yeah. What I hear seems like he's not real happy, and anyway, who knows?
Yeah.
Those basketball players, they're never happy.
You brought up Grayson Allen last week.
What's he doing? Is he just not even playing?
He's averaging 4 points a game with Utah.
So he's obviously not playing.
0.3 rebounds a game. But a lot of these Dookies, they come in the league, top 10 pick, like Jabari Parker's had a nothing career.
So I wouldn't say nothing
Nothing.
career, but nothing career.
Nothing.
Not great. Nothing.
Nothing.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. And again,
And now how about UVM basketball?
Boy, those guys are good. Playing as we speak.
Well, I've got them playing Duke in the national championship. They're just incredible. I'm completely floored when literally they graduated half the team.
They're good.
I don't want to say rebuild. They like to say retool now.
Playing in Durham, New Hampshire, as we speak.
Right, New Hampshire is not a good
They're
team.
better than last year's team?
They might be. And again,
Boy, they do look good.
I know Lamb gets a lot of points.
Hawk, Saturday night home game. In case your thing. Have you got a hockey? Have you got a hockey conflict?
I'm going down to Norwich. They have a big weekend. They're playing Batson. It's the best weekend of hockey Friday night, and Mass Boston Saturday afternoon at 4. So I have to decide. They are on ESPN3. So at worst case, you could put your laptop on your belly.
I might give a little thought to the Saturday night home game. I did finally catch one game.
But
no, they're good.
The ultimate team and the brothers, the three brothers on the team.
Duncans?
They're just such well-schooled players.
Speaking of those guys, I want to mention UMBC because I want to mention Virginia. The Dukies obviously had their usual great players.
Game of the year.
Syracuse, very good win for Syracuse. A win that in all likelihood would not have happened had Trey Jones, probably the least heralded of Duke's freshmen. Did you see his injury?
That was
happened
bad.
early first half. He's diving for a ball. It was like he hit a concrete wall with his shoulder.
Oh.
But this guy is very good, as the TV announcers say. He's just never turns the ball over. A ton of assists. Brother, of course, of Tyus Jones, one of the key guys, along with Grayson, who gave the Dukies their last national champ.
Yep.
But anyway, I want to mention UMBC. Of course, we all well remember what happened last year.
They beat number 1 ranked Virginia.
They beat Virginia.
16 versus 1.
Watch out and Virginia handled that. Their coach, Bennett, handled that was very gracious. Watch out for the Cavs.
Yeah.
This is a great team, and you can be sure they don't forget the UMBC game for 1 second. I would predict right now.
I've got
money on the Cavs
I've got the
winning.
DVR set up for that game. Virginia at Duke, ESPN 6
p.m.
o'clock game.
No, that's why I'm not going to the UVM
Yeah,
game.
I mean even and as much as I hate big time college basketball, and I want to say a word about the Zion Williamson, which has been anything about college
I
basketball.
think he
always
seems like
starts
he's a
with
good.
him.
It seems like he's a good kid. I think
Seems
he's
like
a good kid.
Some expert said the other day he is the best player in the ACC since Michael Jordan.
Wow, that's saying
Okay,
a lot.
that's saying a lot. He will be the number one pick in the draft.
Yeah.
And if you're saying he's the best player since Michael Jordan, then you can say he's the best college player to come out in 35 years.
Bob Ryan, who still fortunately writes for the Globe once in a while, the great Bob Ryan. His column in the Sunday Globe was the next great thing, I guess, and he mentioned that as Zion, and quickly saying, hey, there's no guarantee, and he had a list of about 10 guys: Lou Alcindor, Kareem,
Yeah.
I guess Michael Jordan, George Mikan going back in time, but some guys who didn't, Jerry Lucas,
Yep.
Oscar Robertson, but also some
Jerry
guys.
Lucas played for Ohio State early 60s.
Played for
John
the Knicks
Havlicek.
when their championship team.
Right.
Yep.
But also had some of these guys who didn't even make it. So he was very clear. Hey, no guarantee, but from what I'm watching, and he quoted Jay Billis, and Jay's a pretty straightforward
Yes, yes.
guy. Another
Yeah,
dude.
I like Jay.
Saying, hey, I've never seen anything like this guy.
Now, the odds-on
So-
favorite to get him as of today is the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
So he could be the next
Yeah.
LeBron for that team. But what I remember most about Williamson is I mentioned him to you, and Nick Mumley, the red man, was sitting here, and he looked at us. He goes, "You guys don't know about him?" I go, "Why he hasn't played yet? I
Nick
don't know
was
a
all
thing."
over-
He goes, "I've been watching him in high school for the
for
last
years.
3 years.
Yeah.
The most unbelievable dunks. I mean, he's built like a tank, and he goes down the court like he's 5 feet 9 inches."
But kudos to Syracuse, who was a good. I thought they deserved to win. I picked it up. I played tennis Monday night. I caught up with the game late first half. Very tight game. And again, Trey Jones had gone out. Cam Reddish, who won the game with the three-pointer at Florida State, where the Dukies always have a tough time. He was sick. He was out. That said, Syracuse, a great game. I'm hearing some Syracuse guys saying best win in program history. God, was it that? That sounded a little
Well,
bit of
listen, I can
a little
look
bit of
back
hype,
when they had
But it was
Carmelo.
it was a good game.
Yeah.
They won
Carmelo
in OT.
Anthony played 1 year with the Syracuse. In fact, won the national championship with him. Remember, was it Dwayne Washington? Played
Yes.
for Syracuse.
Yeah,
Dwayne
the
the
Sun
Pearl.
guard. Yeah. Oh,
And-
Dwayne, or is that the Pearl? Was that the Pearl?
Yeah, Dwayne the Pearl
Washington.
Yeah,
Very good.
that might have been 35, 40 years
Oh, they've
ago.
had a- yeah.
I mean,
But it was a good game. But kudos
Yeah.
to Syracuse, a
Yeah.
good OT win. Virginia, and the game's at Duke Saturday evening.
Yeah.
Probably the worst thing for Virginia is that Duke lost that game. But boy, if Trey Jones is out for a while, their
the only
backup guard's not
criticism
nearly
you've
as
given
good.
me over the years about Duke is Krzyzewski
bench stuff.
doesn't play his bench.
Well, he's
They're
got-
up by 20. And you've always told me,
Yep.
you really got to put these other guys in just in case, and I agree with them, just in case somebody gets hurt.
Yeah.
They don't come
that
in with
may
wet
come
feet.
into play. But watch out for the Virginia. I mean, I love good defensive teams. These guys play the best defense, and Dukies have a pretty good defensive team this year, unlike last year. Virginia plays incredible defense, and I think they're showing a little more offense this year.
Yeah.
But if you want to put money on a team winning the national championship, think the Cavs. This is a very, very
But
good
here's
team.
your dilemma, Duke,
Yeah.
is you got the best game, arguably, all season,
Yeah,
this Saturday
maybe.
night at 6.
Yeah.
And the kickoff for the Pats are at 6:40.
And then the next night, Hawk, you got your confusing nights, man.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. That's Sunday.
Don't worry, you got 24
Yeah.
hours.
And I'm going to make my yearly complaint about the conference championships. Why 2 games on the same day?
Yeah, I'd rather have a
they
Saturday,
should put the
Sunday.
Saturday night game, 8 o'clock prime time,
Yeah.
and Sunday night. I don't have a problem with 6:40. People have to go to work the next day.
But wouldn't you think they'd have them
But-
both like
right.
afternoon game, one Saturday, one
Yeah.
Sunday?
They do whatever they can to make the most TV money.
I mean, it's not like there's. What's the competition? It's not like there's tons of competition.
Yeah.
1 minute.
We got
Anyway.
1 minute. Listen,
But
David.
should be a fun doubleheader.
David,
sometime.
I'm so sorry. We ran out of time, and we don't have time to talk about
talk
the
cars?
Australian Open.
Oh, you mean the
Don't-
tennis?
Hey, but guess who's playing? Maybe
Jeannie
that's who-
Bouchard.
Guess who she's playing? Serena.
Oh,
in
she
the
is?
second round match.
Wow.
Eugenie, maybe. I mean, she'll probably lose.
She,
that,
I
but
read somewhere
Eugenie's playing better.
she's playing
tennis.
better tennis.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's playing Serena. Maybe
And she
today.
still looks just as good.
Yeah, I think
looks
she has
good.
a boyfriend. So that's it. Boy, that 90 minutes went by
You know
quick.
who's her boyfriend?
I don't know, but you're going to have to save it.
All right.
till here.
Sports guy.
Yeah, sports guy.
For Zach, the Duke Super Dave. I'm the Nighthawk. Until next week, everyone, remember, you do not have to be a great athlete to be a good sport. Ciao for now.
Go do that, Super.
Yeah.